Here we go. We are live. Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to day 3 of Stop Struggling, Start Thriving. So happy Friday. I know for a lot of us, this is a long weekend. If you're in the States, it's the July 4th weekend. If you're in Canada, it is Canada Day weekend, which is July 1st. So that's exciting. I hope everybody has plans to unplug and take some time for self-care this weekend, even if that is just not responding to emails. So today, we are going to wrap everything together, right? We are going to look at what we talked about over the last 2 days and talk about how that all comes together to help you create a life that you love, earning money the way you want to, as much as you want to, when you want to, how you want to. We're going to talk about some gratitude and why it matters. And I know everybody hears about gratitude, and I get that it's kind of like one of those overused words, but there's science behind it, and I'm going to get into that a little bit because it does help. I was skeptical, if I'm being honest, at first, and then I tried it and it did help. And then we're going to get to how you can get to doing what you love, right, the way you want to, and why you should do it, why it matters that you go boldly forward and pursue your dreams and live the life that you want to live. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's get started. All right. So let's start with gratitude, okay? Because I know gratitude gets a bit of a, cliched, hokey, woo-woo vibe about it sometimes because it can come across as like toxic positivity, which I am not a fan of toxic positivity. I think that we really need to honor and respect our emotions. We need to love ourselves at every stage and not try to force ourselves to be positive in the face of negativity or in the face of, adverse situations. All of our feelings and all of our emotions matter. And it does you a disservice to just try to be like, oh, well, I'm going to ignore the fact that I feel like crap today. I love how it gets said sometimes, like, mad is not bad. Anger is a legitimate emotion. Sadness is a legitimate emotion. Grief is a legitimate emotion. Fear is a legitimate emotion. All of these things matter. And all of these things are communicating to you something, right? Anger, sadness. Anger is a great one. It can tell you that you're not enforcing boundaries, that you're not honoring yourself, that you are, you're not feeling heard. It can tell you a lot. So gratitude isn't about toxic positivity, right? It's not about lying to yourself and telling yourself that everything is great when it's not. Because we all know that's bullshit, right? I mean, we know when we're lying to ourselves. So what gratitude is about just looking for the good in a day, right? So let's go to the science of it. Our brains try to keep us alive, right? So our subconscious mind, our reptilian brain, all of that jazz, its job is to keep us alive. So it looks for things that could be threats, right? This dates back to, prehistoric era, whatever. But it looks for what could be a threat. So the likelihood that we are going to see bad versus good is high because it's a survival mechanism. That being said, we can train our brain to look for good things so that we don't live in a fear-based existence, right? We can train our brain to look for opportunities, to look for things to be grateful for, to look for, like Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers, right? In every bad situation, there are people trying to help. Look for the helpers. And they did a study in the Harvard School of Psychology, and they did it on Tetris, right? If you're as old as I am, you remember Tetris. It is that game where you sit and you try to piece these block pieces together to make lines. And when you make a line, it disappears and you try not to fill your screen. And so they had people play Tetris for 8 hours a day for 3 days. And then they talked to them after the study. And what they found was that after they would leave from playing Tetris for 3 hours or for 8 hours a day, they would see Tetris everywhere, right? They would see it in the skyline. They would see it in the grocery store. They would see it in traffic. They would see it everywhere. Their brain would just start seeing these patterns and how to put things together. And it didn't happen intentionally. And it's not like they were hallucinating, right? They weren't on, psychedelics. These were clear-headed individuals, and they would see Tetris everywhere. And so what they were able to extrapolate from this study is that what you focus on or what you are constantly looking at or telling your brain, your reticular activation system, what you tell it is important is what it will see. And so by these people staring at Tetris for 8 hours a day, it told their brain this was what was important, finding these patterns and piecing things together. And so when they would go out into the world, that's what their brain would look for. How does this relate to gratitude? So if you start a gratitude practice, right, and at the end of every day, you write down 5 things from that day you're grateful for, and in the morning, you write down 5 things you're grateful for, right? I'm making this very simple because I know that our first pushback on these new things is to say, I don't have time, I don't have time. But trust me, writing down 5 things you're grateful for before you go to bed doesn't take long. It might the first time because you might have to really look for things to be grateful for, especially, if you're a mom and a business owner and the days can get kind of hectic and hairy sometimes, but that's okay. Look for things to be grateful for. And so you start doing these lists, right? 5 things in the morning, 5 things at night, 5 things in the morning, 5 things at night. And it doesn't have to be grandiose, right? They don't have to be big things. You can be grateful for heat, for air conditioning, clean water. You can be grateful for food on the table. You can be grateful for your kids saying please and thank you without having to be reminded. You can be grateful for coffee. I am often grateful for coffee, especially when I'm doing my morning list because I'm sipping my coffee and I'm like, thank God for coffee. And what happens over time, right? And it can happen as quickly as in the next 5 to 7 days, right? Your brain, your reticular activation system, your subconscious starts to learn that you are going to be making these lists and that it needs to find for you 5 things to be grateful for that you can write down in the morning and 5 things that you can write at night. So you teach your brain that things to be grateful for is important to you. And now when you look out into the world, your brain is scanning for things to be grateful for, right? It's not just looking for the threats. It is now like, okay, we do need to be aware of the things that might kill us, but at the same time, we are looking for things to be grateful for. And you'll start to notice things that were there all along, right? This is not magic. I'm not trying to tell you that if you focus on gratitude, all of a sudden, the particles of the universe are going to realign themselves and they're going to give you things to be grateful for, and you're going to win $1 million and it is going to be amazing and your family's going to always do the right thing and no one's going to criticize you and everything's going to be perfect. I am not telling you that. Okay. I am telling you that you can teach your brain to start to look and see things that it had previously been filtering out. Right. So maybe you're in the grocery store and you notice the person helping another person, right, get something from a high shelf. And you're like, oh, hey, that restores my faith in humanity a little bit. I'm grateful for that. Or maybe you notice when your kids start to say please and thank you instead of only seeing when they forget. Or maybe you notice this person that's been sitting beside you on the subway for the last 2 months that is always, working on things that relate to what you want to work on, and you strike up a conversation and you're grateful that they were there. They could have been there forever and you just didn't notice them, right? So when we tell our brain that finding things to be grateful for is important to us, it starts finding us things to be grateful for. Okay. And when it starts finding us things to be grateful for, we start seeing that the world is a better place and we start seeing more opportunity around us. And when we start seeing and noticing more opportunity around us, that starts to come in and it starts to mix and mingle with all of our ambitions and great ideas and all the clarity that we gained earlier on about what's important to us and what skills we love to use. And this is where I'm going back to tying it all together. Okay. So when we let go of the shoulds, right, and we release our white knuckle grip on how, we open ourselves up. Okay. So we are going to stop telling ourselves that we should be doing X, right? I gave this up a long time ago, specifically when it came to Instagram. It used to stress me out. People would tell me my grid should look like this. It should look like this. Oh my gosh, I did a reel at the wrong time and now my grid is all fucked up and it doesn't look right. And I was like, okay, but I can't function that way. I post what I want when I want because I post when I feel inspired, not because it's the right time to post. I almost gave up on Instagram completely when I let the shoulds get the better of me because it just stressed me out too much. So now that my grid is a fucking mess, I'm happy with it and I feel good about it and it doesn't matter. So letting go of these shoulds clears space, right? We're clearing out space in our mind. We're clearing out space in our, decision-making ability because decision fatigue is real. And we're letting go of the hows, right? So it's not that I need to get my coaching business to $10,000 a month so that I can be happy. It's that I want to make $10,000 a month with joy and ease, having time for my children to be a loving and supportive mother, and getting to enjoy the things that I love to do, and getting to walk in my forest and play with my goats and play with my dogs and love my chickens and enjoy nature and not rush and not feel like I'm under constant pressure and deadline. But I let go of it had to be done this way. And that was so friggin' freeing. In fact, it dawned on me one day that I don't even know that I would call myself a coach. I'm more of a consultant, right? Coaches are people that ask those questions. They're like, why do you believe that? What makes you think that? And they help people get to the bottom of their own beliefs. Whereas I'm more, hey, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, lived through that. Here is how I would fix it. What do you think? Would this work for you? So consultants more teach and tell. Coaches ask and get you to pry it out from within you. So I'm like a hybrid, right? I ask a lot of questions. I love asking questions, but I also have a lot of knowledge I like to share. So I'm really bad at just sitting back and being like, waiting for people to figure it out. It's just not who I am, and that's okay. But I let go of the hows, right? So, okay, I don't need to do it that way. I don't need to have a high ticket offer because that stresses me out. I don't need to cold DM people a million times a day because that grosses me out. I don't need to use that weird, yucky game or guilt, shame marketing people use where they're like, I'm going to make you feel like you are terrible and I'm the only person that can help you so that you'll spend too much money and money you don't feel like you have on the product that I'm offering. That grosses me out. And instead I just embrace I'm going to show up and be weird, quirky me and share my knowledge and magic and love and see how I can help more people. And that was so freeing. So letting go of the shoulds, not focusing on the hows, right? Clearing out your limiting beliefs, right? I always told myself that I could be successful if I only knew how. I just said, let go of the hows, right? So one of my limiting beliefs I had to clear was this idea that I needed to know how, that I had to learn how to trust. I had to learn how to just take the next right step instead of knowing the whole thing ahead of time. I had to learn how to follow inspired action. I had to learn how to, or uncover how to just show up here every day. You'll notice, I mean, these live streams have not happened at the same time every day, which everybody says you should do. I started it in the middle of the week without any big fanfare. I'm doing it in my Facebook group because I love you guys and don't think I need to make you join another group in order to hear what I have to say. But there's a lot of limiting beliefs around that, right? Money could come to me freely and easily. Money flows to me easily. That I am the kind of person that could do something like this. 2 years ago, you never would have caught me doing something like this. I wasn't that type of person. My hair was straight. I had to look perfect. Right now I'm wearing pink covered yoga pants while I sit here and talk to you. So getting over those limiting beliefs and then discovering your own worthiness. Remember, you are worthy because you are. You are worthy because you are. Not when you get somewhere or when you're a certain way or when you conform to everything. You were born worthy. You need to know that. Because once you start opening yourself up, right, you get crystal clear on your passions and skills and the things that you want to do and how you want your life to feel. And you paint that picture in your mind and you can feel it, right? What it's like to get up every morning and live the life of your dreams and do the things that you love to do and use the skills that you already have to help other people, right? Then you have to do the thing of going to talk to people, right? You have to open yourself up. Ideas and opportunities will present themselves. How many of you got that conversation scheduled from yesterday, right? In the next 3 to 5 days, you're going to talk to somebody that, you know, could jive with where you want to go, and you're going to show up ready to add value and see what happens. Because for 90% of us, we wanted to do it, but we let our limiting beliefs hold us back, and our lack of worthiness or our disbelief in our own worthiness hold us back. So let's try again, right? We're not going to shame ourselves about it. We are going to be kind to ourselves, because you can't shame yourself into a better life. You can't guilt yourself into a better life. You can't change the past. You can't do any of that stuff, but you can love yourself into a better life. So Once you are clear on your passion and skills and how you want to be making your money, you're going to start talking to people, right? You're working on your gratitude list. So now all these opportunities are coming to you, right? You're seeing things you never saw before. Like I said, I went to lunch with somebody that I did mortgages for, right? We had a mortgage relationship and I didn't want to do mortgages anymore, but I wanted to have lunch with this person. So I went and had lunch with them and they started talking about online marketing and funnels and all this stuff. And I was like, ooh, I could help with that. And I said, I could help with that. I don't want to work for anybody full time, but I could definitely help with that. Right? And that turned into something. And then you got to follow your inner guidance, right? So you got to listen to your heart, right? I said to them, I don't want to work for someone full time because that was me and what I wanted. I don't want to be controlled by somebody telling me I need to be somewhere at a certain time and do things at a certain time and clock in and clock out. And all of that goes against everything that I want for myself. And so I just said so. Right? And then when they come back and they tell you how much they're willing to pay you, you have to know your worthiness and stand firm in it and be prepared to say no, thank you. If it doesn't align, don't say yes out of gross, funky energy, right? Don't say yes out of desperation. Don't say yes out of fear that something better might not come along, right? You want to say yes out of a place of, yes, this feels good, excitement, worthiness, joy, right? You want to say yes from all those spots. And so this is how we tie it all together. And then you remember that you have the right to change your mind, right? Everybody's like, oh, quitters, quitters, quitters. Okay, but when did changing our mind become quitting? You don't have to marry the next opportunity. You don't have to make a life pledge, right, to the next opportunity that you take. You can say, I will do this for as long as it feels good to me. Because why would you do anything else, right? Don't get yourself stuck in something that doesn't feel good. And so the whole point is to get yourself into a space where you are doing what you love and you're being well compensated for it. Why? Because your gifts are of high value and worthy of massive compensation. I don't care what those gifts are. We all have them, right? We all have gifts that are of a high service and worthy of massive compensation. And sometimes we just need help finding them. Okay. And so that's why one thing I wanted to mention today is that this is kind of the whole what I felt called and inspired to create. And I've never done this one before, and I'm putting it together just for the first time. But I'm really, really excited about it because I do feel that this process that I've gone through can be done by anyone. And so what I've done is I've put together an 8-week group coaching program, right? So for 8 weeks, meet weekly over Zoom. I'm only opening it up for 10 spots because I want to be able to really work with people. I don't want to have, in fact, 10 right now, when I'm thinking about it, 10 might sound a bit big. I might shrink that back to six to 8, because I want to be able to give people my full attention, and we will meet weekly. We're going to go through all these steps, right? We're going to talk about getting rid of should and letting go of how. We're going to talk about how to do that, right? It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. We're going to talk about clearing our limiting beliefs and how to do it. We are going to discover our inner worthiness and how to stand in that power. Get clear on our passion and skills, learn to trust our intuition, right? Start saying yes to things. We're going to identify those opportunities and follow our inner guidance. We're going to get rid of the bullshit of balance. We're going to work on our gratitude, and we're going to do it all together for 8 weeks. Okay. And I know, here's the thing. I should have slides telling you about value and how much I'm throwing in and what a discount it is. But again, that makes me feel gross, right? I've done it so many times and I hate it, where I'm like, here's how much this part's worth. Here's how much this part's worth. Here's the thing. This 8-week coaching program, if you pay in full, is only $888. Okay. That is normally for group coaching programs for 3 months, I charge $5,500 at lowest. This one is $888 because I like the number and it sounded good to me. I do have a payment plan, so it's 2 payments of $499.50 monthly payments. And for this group only, so for my Inspired and Profitable Mompreneur group only, if you message me below plan, I am willing to break monthly payment plan, the 2-month payment plan, up into bi-weekly payments. So it would be, I wrote it down here because this came to me last night and I was like, oh shit, I should do that for my group. There it is. So it's $249.75 bi-weekly for 4 weeks or for 4 payments. So it does have to be paid in full before the end of the 8 weeks. And yeah, it is 8 weeks of going through all this together, right? So I will work with you and help you do all of these things. Okay. And I mean, I did throw in a bonus because I do love bonuses. So part of the bonuses is a copy of my From Mom to Mogul Guide to Social Media Success book. And I do have a few more bonuses that are being thrown in that are a bit of a surprise. But I love this program. I am excited to do it. I truly feel like this is something people need right now, right? I mean, there is an endless supply of how-to courses out there. How to create a sales funnel, how to do the right thing, how to structure your coaching business, how to become a coach, all of that jazz. But I don't think a lot of people are talking about just valuing yourself, standing in your own worth, and really creating from that place. So I want to do this. It's going to start mid-July. Okay, we got about 17 days before it starts. And for this weekend, it is only being offered in this group. Starting next week, I'm going to offer it out to the audience at large. But for this weekend, it's only being offered in this group so that you guys can get on board first. I'll post and let you know if I decide to shrink it back. I mean, it depends on response. If we get filled up with 10 people right away, then I'll keep it at 10. I might break it up into 2 groups of 5. We'll see how the first meeting goes and see what needs to be done to make sure everybody gets the attention they deserve. But yeah. Oh, and what's it called? Oh my God, did I mention what it's called? So it's called Unlock Your Empowered Mompreneur, right? So it's all about unlocking your empowered self and coming from a place of love and a place of self-worth and worthiness and putting together the life that you want, right? So again, Unlock Your Empowered Mompreneur. It is $888, so $888 if you pay in full. It is $499.50 if you take the monthly payment plan for 2 months. And then for this group only, and it's not on the landing page, that's why you do have to comment plan below. Because when I put this out to the world at large starting next week, I'm not giving them the bi-weekly payment option. It's only for this group. So the bi-weekly payment option is $249.75 every 2 weeks for 8 weeks. So 4 payments. All right. So if you guys have any questions, do let me know. And yeah, I will see you all again soon. I am so, so, so grateful to each and every one of you. And remember, the woman you see when you look in the mirror is exactly what a successful entrepreneur looks like. Oh, and I'll drop the link below so you can check out the course. Okay. Thank you, my loves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend and keep loving yourself. Bye.